In the UK, we drink approximately 55 million cups of coffee per day and over 400 billion in a year worldwide. The UK spent £730 million on coffee alone in 2013. By the end of the year, there were over 16,000 coffee shops in the UK. But does everyone know what their cup of coffee has had to go through?
Coffee is typically grown in the equatorial climate either side of the equator, between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. This region is referred to as the Bean Belt. From its humble origin in Africa, coffee cultivation has migrated east and west of its central location, filling the belt formed by the tropics. In 2013, the top coffee farmers produced 8.9 million tonnes of green coffee for consumers globally.
Coffee beans begin their life inside a berry grown on an evergreen shrub. These berries are then hand-picked by farmers and sorted by ripeness. The pulp of the berry is then removed from its coffee bean seed, which is then washed and dried, usually in the strong sunlight around the equator. These beans are then sorted once more and sent out into the coffee branches all over the world and are ready to be roasted. I visited Peter and Robert at the Primo Coffee Roastery to see how the roasting process is done.
So you see the difference in those beans compared to those. These are much more even. The reason you add this is there's a higher caffeine content in this Robusta Ugandan bean. When you brew it, that gives that sort of crema on the top. You can get, with a really good quality Arabica, if it's fresh, you can replicate that. Those cold beans will hit that hot drum and the temperature will drop very dramatically. And then as that heats with the gas flame, you're drying those beans out until you get to the point where you hear first crack, which is that outer husk of the bean exploding off as a chaff. Once you're into first crack and that husk has come off, that's all your development time, where you're getting all those flavours. So you want to stretch that out for as long as possible. Because coffee beans become exothermic in that they generate their own heat, you want to control the gas as carefully as possible to the point where actually you're not putting any more energy into the beans, because even with no gas at all and no heat, the temperature of the bean will continue to increase. This is quite a medium sort of roast. The longer you leave it in the roaster itself, the darker roast you're going to get.
To find out how these roasted coffee beans are transformed into the luxurious coffees we drink in stores, I visited the New World Coffee Shop to see how they make their coffee.
My name's Jacob Lawrence. I'm the owner of the New World Coffee Shop, and we've been running this place for just over a year and a half. We use mainly Arabica in our blend. There's 5% Robusta in there just to bring a bit more depth of flavour to our coffee. Just a lot of opportunity for expressing yourself in coffee. There's the creative side with the latte art and cappuccinos and making your coffees look really nice. There's a lot of science behind the roasting and brewing of coffee and the processes. There's a lot of chance for expression, like I said, and there's so much difference in flavours out there in coffee. You can get coffees that taste completely worlds apart, but they all come from the same plant. It's just a really interesting and vibrant field to be working in. There's a lot of youth involved in coffee as well, and people being creative and bringing new ideas to the field all the time. And it's just exciting to be around.
So there are a couple key impacts of caffeine. First one is with anything that you enjoy. So if somebody enjoys drinking coffee or they find pleasure from it, it's going to initially stimulate part of the brain called the nucleus accumbens, which is the main pleasure reward center of the brain, which is then going to flood your brain with the pleasure chemical dopamine. Anything you find pleasure from is basically your brain experiencing that chemical. The more significant impact it has is a certain part of your brain in a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine builds up in the brain, slows your brain down to get ready to go to sleep. Now what caffeine does, it fills the slot where adenosine makes contact with the neurons, and it acts as an imposter, and it stops that process so your brain never gets tired. Chronic coffee use leads to heightened levels of stress and anxiety because you are stressing your brain out inadvertently, because preventing your brain from calming down and slowing down and sleeping doesn't let you deal with stress, which would then increase your level of anxiety because you never rest.
How do you feel?
Quite tired. It was quite hard getting out of bed and not having anything this morning. First sleep about 1 o'clock, woke up at 8, so about 6 hours sleep, I guess.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel? 10 being extremely tired.
Probably 6. I'm not really motivated to do much because I'm quite tired, but I'm still normal, I guess.
On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you're feeling emotionally.
6 probably. Nah, no sort of side effects.
I'd say the first day, so I'm alright.
How do you feel?
Great. I feel great. Pretty well.
How many hours would you say you slept undisturbed?
Maybe like 5.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel?
Maybe about 7.
Have you had any increased anxiety levels, depression, or noticeable mood changes?
Not yet, I don't think.
On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you're feeling emotionally.
6.
How badly do you want a coffee right now?
Pretty badly.
How are you feeling?
Very tired. Not very good. I didn't sleep till 3 o'clock, so getting up this morning was pretty hard. I didn't get up till 9 o'clock. School starts at 8:40.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel?
7. I'm finding it hard to walk around. I'm not really motivated to do much. Just really tired. Not looking forward to work tonight.
There's a really quick buildup of adenosine in his brain that is making him get tired more quickly.
On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you're feeling emotionally, 10 being really happy.
5. I got a bit of a headache.
If they have an addiction, they'd have withdrawal symptoms like any addict. Tense, fidgety, agitated, become highly stressed, highly anxious, a bit overreactive in terms of over exaggerating the importance of needing coffee.
Slept pretty well.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel?
8. I think my mood's been pretty steady all week, just like normal.
On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you feel emotionally.
8. I haven't noticed any abnormalities in my health.
Pretty tired. Again, as usual. I'm finding it really hard getting out of bed each morning. So I'm just finding it hard to sort of know I can't get out and just have a coffee. It's sort of ruining my pattern of sleep, to be honest.
I mean, a lot of that stuff is psychologically conditioned too, where part of their daily routine is to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Your body gets used to having that drug, and if you no longer have the drug, your brain tells you, what's wrong? I'm panicking because I don't have this drug that I normally have, and that addiction kicks in, so they would have typical withdrawal symptoms.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel?
Let's say 5. It's alright, it's sort of ending to the end of the week now, so I'm feeling a little bit better. Still no coffee.
On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you're feeling emotionally.
6 probably. Yeah, I've had more headaches. Work was really hard yesterday.
He's highly dependent on it. He is mildly addicted to having caffeine.
I slept pretty well.
How many hours would you say you slept for undisturbed?
Maybe 7 hours.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel?
9. I don't think I've had any emotional abnormalities.
On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you're feeling emotionally.
7. I don't think I've had any health abnormalities.
Would you do this again?
Yes.
Right there tells you she's not dependent on it, and she does not have any indication of the withdrawal symptoms that Cameron did. She's a classic example of she has it as part of her daily routine. So for her, it was a very mild impact in terms of her brain realizing that you've changed something in my routine. I don't have this anymore, and it's trying to correct that.
How do you feel?
Yeah, better today. I think because I had a banana, so I feel better.
How did you sleep last night?
Really, really good. I don't know, I fell asleep about 10 o'clock. I woke up this morning about 8 o'clock, so I slept quite well. Had about 10 hours sleep.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel?
3. I don't really feel like I need to have coffee much anymore. I don't really feel like I depend on it like I did before.
You start off okay, then you reach that low of withdrawal, then your body detoxes and you realize that, well, actually it's adjusted now, it's okay. Because caffeine is not as addictive as heroin or meth, so there's not as much dopamine released in the brain, so the addiction isn't that intense. He changes routine, so his body's readjusted.
On a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you're feeling emotionally.
7. I think I'm finding it easier now to sort of walk around without having to have a coffee or anything.
How badly do you want a coffee right now?
Not that bad. I'm alright.
I feel like overall I am more calm because sometimes when I'd have too much coffee, I'd shake and fill up with anxiety, whereas now I'm not having the coffee, I'm not relying on it as much. I feel like I get angry when I know I can't have coffee. Sometimes I get headaches where I get overtired and I'm staring at a screen for a long period of time. I've actually been getting rough sleeps and I keep waking up in the night. I feel like I'm more on edge. I used to think the coffee put me on edge.
Why coffee increases anxiety and stress is because if your brain never has a chance to relax in terms of what it's processing, that's going to heighten anxiety and stress, which is usually what happens because the people can't sleep. They don't give their brain a break. So physically, their brain is stressed out. And that is just going to exacerbate her level of stress and anxiety even more than she had when she was a coffee drinker, because on top of that, rumination is going to set in. She's stressed out, A, because her brain is stressed out because she can't sleep. B, she's now even more stressed out because she's ruminating about the fact that she wants coffee and needs coffee. And then you have the chemical dependency that she has built up with drinking coffee. It's going to make it 10 times worse when you don't have the coffee because your body depends on it.
My cravings for coffee are overpowering.
How badly do you want a coffee right now?
Very. I'm not getting as many cravings, but when I do get them, they're more intense. I slept okay, but I found it hard to fall asleep. I feel like over the past 2 weeks, my emotions have become more steady. I could have one, but I'm not craving it as much as before.
It may be your wake-up call, your chance to catch up with a friend, or maybe just a small moment of pleasure. But now you know exactly what your coffee has been through.